Hi, how has the country of Indonesia managed to position itself among the richest countries in the world? In this video we are going to describe the economy of Indonesia, and we are going to talk about aspects of its wealth and how it is that this country has managed to position itself among the richest countries in the world. As we will see in this description, Indonesia is a country in which there have been many changes in its economy throughout its history. Having managed to emerge from the economic problems hit by the crisis of wars, corruption and lack from sound economic policies, Indonesia has managed to overcome these problems over time, becoming an emerging economy with nationalist policies, avoiding the mistakes of the past. Welcome to Finance Talk. Ranking of the 25 richest countries in the world. Position number 16, Indonesia. We continue. Protect our health and the health of our family. Follow the recommendations of the health authorities to deal with the coronavirus. From Finance Talk, we want the pandemic to end soon. About Indonesia. Indonesia, officially known as the Republic of Indonesia, is a country in Southeast Asia and Oceania, between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. It is made up of more than 17,000 islands, including the island of Sumatra, the island of Java, the island of Borneo, Kalimantan, the island of Sulawesi and the island of New Guinea, Papua. Indonesia is the largest island country in the world and the 14th largest country by land area, with 1,904,569 square kilometers, 735,358 square miles. With more than 267 million people, it is the fourth most populous country in the world, as well as the most populous Muslim-majority country. Java, the world's most populous island, is home to more than half of the country's population. Indonesia's economy is the largest in Southeast Asia and is one of the world's emerging market economies. Indonesia is a member of the G20 and is classified as a newly industrialized country. Indonesia economic data. GDP, $11 trillion, equivalent to $3,870 per capita. Indonesia has a mixed economy in which both the private sector and the government play vital roles. Indonesia's economy is the largest in Southeast Asia. It is one of the emerging market economies in the world. It is classified as a newly industrialized country. The Indonesian economy has shown tremendous progress in the past 2 decades. Indonesia still depends on the domestic market and government budget spending and its ownership of state-owned companies. Lowering trade barriers since the mid-1980s made the economy more integrated globally. Tourism in Indonesia. Tourism in Indonesia is an important component of its economy as well as a major source of its foreign exchange earnings. Indonesia was ranked 20th in the world tourism industry in 2017. It was also ranked as the 9th fastest growing tourism sector in the world, the 3rd fastest growth in Asia and the fastest growth in Southeast Asia. In 2018, Denpasar, Jakarta and Batam were among the 10 cities in the world with the fastest growth in tourism, 32.7%, 29.2% and 23.3% respectively. The country has planned to reach 8% of GDP in the tourism sector and aims to attract some 20 million visitors by 2019. The tourism sector was ranked 4th largest among the export sectors for goods and services. Indonesia has a rich and colorful culture, like the Barong dance show in Bali. In 2019, Indonesia recorded 16.10 million foreign tourist arrivals, an increase of 1.9% compared to 2018. Indonesian economic history. It was from Sukarno. Sukarno was born in Kusno Sosradarjo, from Java, June 6, 1901 to June 21, 1970. He was a political Indonesia who was the first president of Indonesia, serving from 1945 to 1967. Sukarno was the leader of the Indonesian struggle for independence from the Dutch Empire. Sukarno was replaced in 1967 by one of his generals, Suharto, and remained under house arrest until his death in 1970. At the time of Sukarno's fall in the mid-1960s, the economy was in chaos with annual inflation of 1,000%, declining export earnings, dilapidated infrastructure, factories operating at minimum capacity, and investment insignificant. Following the fall of President Sukarno, the New Order administration brought a degree of discipline to economic policy that quickly reduced inflation, stabilized the currency, reprogrammed foreign debt, and attracted foreign aid and investment. In the late 1980s, a series of economic reforms was introduced, including a controlled devaluation of the rupee to improve export competitiveness and deregulation of the financial sector. Foreign investment flowed to Indonesia, particularly to the rapidly developing export-oriented manufacturing sector, and from 1989 to 1997, the Indonesian economy grew by an average of more than 7%. Corruption gained momentum in particular in the 1990s, reaching the highest levels of the political hierarchy when Suharto became the most corrupt leader according to Transparency International. As a result, the legal system was weak and there was no effective way to enforce contracts, collect debts, or file bankruptcy. The 1997 Asian financial crisis that began to affect Indonesia turned into an economic and political crisis. The initial response was to float the rupee, raise key domestic interest rates, and tighten fiscal policy. The rupee remained weak, and Suharto was forced to resign in May 1998 after massive riots broke out. Foreign investment in Indonesia. According to Indonesian economic policies, the state owns all oil and mineral rights. Foreign companies participate through the exchange of production and employment contracts. Oil and gas contractors must finance all exploration, production and development costs in their contract areas and are entitled to recover the operating, exploration and development costs of produced oil and gas. Until before the coronavirus pandemic, Indonesia was the world's largest tin market. Although mineral production has traditionally focused on bauxite, silver and tin, it is expanding its production of copper, nickel, gold and coal for export markets. Relatively stable inflation and an increase in the GDP deflator and the Consumer Price Index have contributed to strong economic growth in recent years. As of 2017, 12% of the population lived below the poverty line, and the official open unemployment rate was 3%. Its GDP per capita at $3,871 is much higher than in 2000 at $857. Since 2009, the services sector has employed more people than other sectors, representing 47.1% of the total workforce, followed by agriculture 31.1% and industry 21.7%. The main industries include the oil and natural gas industry, the textile industry, and mining, while among the main agricultural products are palm oil, rice, tea, coffee, spices and rubber. Exports and imports in recent years have decreased at an annual rate of 3 to 4.8%, from $224 billion and $173 billion, respectively in 2011. In 2018, the country posted a trade deficit of $8.57 billion, with a total export value of $180.06 billion, and imports of $188.6 billion. Exports, $168.7 billion 2017 estimate. Goods exported from Indonesia, palm oil and coal briquettes are the main exports, and petroleum gas, crude oil and gas, cement, food, household appliances, rubber and automobiles make up the majority of the other exports. Imports, $156.8 billion 2017 estimate. Goods imported into Indonesia. Imports consist primarily of refined oil and crude, with telephones, petroleum gas, vehicle parts, and wheat covering most of the additional imports. Indonesian economy in pandemic 2020. During the current pandemic, both Indonesia's exports and imports continue to decline dramatically amid the unique coronavirus dilemma, COVID-19, that has actually led to a drastic decline in global and domestic economic activities. In the recent month of May 2020, Indonesia has experienced a surplus, but the only reason that Indonesia was able to obtain a large excess of income in May 2020 is because the country's imports have plummeted at a rate much faster than your exports. However, imports of capital goods and raw materials cause great concern regarding the economic climate of the nation of Indonesia.